Hello, this is Neil from iPaintGirls.com. And so after you have, you have some thumbnail sketches down on your, your piece of paper, we'll call this size. You have your little thumbnail sketches down and with the little speech bubbles and stuff in it. Then you can actually go in. Let's say I had, that quick thumbnail sketch here. Why is this lagging? I don't get it. It keeps doing that. Anyway, so let's say you knew, and I don't know, the perspective, I wouldn't recommend doing the perspective in the actual stages of thumbnail sketching, obviously, because that just takes too much time. So I wouldn't even worry about perspective and all that. Just know that you have the different parts of the people and how they're going to be sitting. Their arms will be up here. They're going to be a holographic thing there. Another couch is going to be here. I know that Jill's going to be sitting there. And then there's going to be a speech bubble here. Maybe a thought bubble there. So once you have, where everything's going to be going, you have your little thumbnail sketch here. Then you would zoom in and you would take your text tool and you would actually put the text in here and then do the bubbles around it. Get all that out of the way first because you already know what your panel is going to be like, kind of where everything's going to be. So next do your speech bubbles. So I know what she needs to say in the beginning is that she needs to say, "Don't worry, sis, it's going to be okay." So I can copy that. Say I want it to kind of fit, somewhere within this area. Right click and then paste the words in there. Obviously I need to change the size, so let's see, I don't know why it's so big. I have to go to size 6 because I'm working at the 300 dpi, which changes the text. I think there's a way somehow in Photoshop to make it to where it's proportional to the print size, because obviously, let's go to view print size. Yeah, I guess that. Right, so anyway, I just want to show what it'll look like after I resize it. So I went to image size, and I resized it to 1000 for print, because I wanted to see what this text would look like on, when it shrunk down to print size online. And that text is actually fine. This is the actual pixels. This is how it'll appear actually online. This is the size, everything. So that text looks pretty good, but I might want to make it a little bit bigger. So for the text size, I could maybe go to size 8. I think I'll go with that. Okay, so anyway, now I got the text size the way I want everything. I can place it where I need it to be, and I place it somewhere like in here because I know that's where I'm going to have my speech bubble. Right, then I have the next thing she says, which is going to be a square, right? That's her thoughts, which I have in pink square. Right, so this is a little different because I'm having to work much smaller on this page than if I, on this 360 size, the 1280 by 720 pixels, the widescreen size. I was able to make my panels much longer, whereas this I had to make it much shorter to fit both panels on here. So anyway, it just means I have to cramp up the text closer together on the image. So then, at this stage, what I like to do is what I showed last time is to use my little tools here. So this tool over here, the rounded rectangle tool, go underneath here, and I'll make a new layer for this, and I call it, I would actually right click and call it bubbles. And I kind of start like that and end about there. That's wrong. Up here also, make sure you have this clicked. See up here these options, these 3 different options. So make sure this one's clicked. This is it'll make it pixels automatically. I'm going to start a little bit further away. Something like that, and maybe even a little bit further away. I can always move it around too, but I just want to try to get it right that first time. Then I would use the square rectangle tool, and this would be the thoughts, and then I would also change the color of that. I can do that really easy just by using this tool here, the swatches. I have the pink color that her thoughts are, voila. And then I don't even have to select this layer. I could if I wanted to. I can go hold down the control key, then click here, but since everything's just on this layer, I can just stroke the layer itself. Edit, stroke, make sure this is black 1 pixel, and then bam. So now when I go to actual pixels, you can see that this is all done. Actually, I forgot to put the little niche there. I showed how to do that last time. So you just go like this, draw the little niche thing. Oops. Then take your pen tool with white. Make sure you have an ink tool, ink pen type thing to where, it's nothing is set, opacity, all that's not set to it. And then you have that. Then you go to edit stroke, and you have black. And okay, there we go. So that's done. So once I have this little part here done, and now I know where my speech bubbles are, everything that's going to be said. I have the basic outline, the thumbnail sketch there that only I know what it means, and that's all that matters, is that I know what it means. Then I would turn that layer down, and then I would go in, make a new layer. And now at this stage here, I can also I do another layer for borders. So one layer would be called, this is bubbles. And some layers I don't even name, I just do by color coding. Let's go ahead and push this up a little bit. I keep the text on top, and I keep them in the order in which it appears on the page. So, this one appears first, and then this one. That way I can easily, know where each one is at. And I just kind of laid out in the order in which you read it. So you'd read this first, then you'd read these ones. And so I have these from top to bottom in the order in which they'd be read. Just makes it easier when I'm editing. Anyway, so at this stage here, I would go in, start thinking about, I would zoom in a lot now if I can see the panel on screen. You can also click this button way down here on the left side. I don't know if you can see way over here. I mean, I know you can see it, but I want you to way on the left bottom side of the screen so you know where my cursor is at. Click that. Now when I hold down the shift key and I move around, I can move off screen. So this is when you have something on the edge, it makes it easier to center it. Anyway, so it's a cool tool to use. You can also do it again, and now the background's black, so it's kind of cool. Right, so here we are, we got the whole thing, and then you start thinking about perspective and everything. So I'm going to make it easy. So you hold down the shift key to make a straight line. Again, this is still the sketching stage, but this is be a detailed sketch that would actually have a lot of the perspective and stuff correct. I know I want this couch, naturally, if it was run against this wall, I know it'd be like this, right? But it's tilted a little bit to the way they have their living room set out, and so I'd actually kind of put it with the perspective the way I want it. Maybe you kind of see part of the side of the couch, and then this couch is actually going to be running along this line here, so we're kind of viewing the room at an angle. The reason why you want to put the speech bubbles there is for you don't have to draw what you don't have to draw. There's no reason to draw things that aren't going to actually be on screen. And then I would actually probably see the way I've designed this this layout. It's probably not going to work because so I can have her leg coming like so, and then her foot. The problem with this is, I'm just thinking as I'm doing this. Notice this parallel line, all these lines that run this way are going to be parallel together just a little bit, but they're running off into some sort of vanishing point, but we're so close that they're almost going to be the same. So something like that, and then this would have shapes on it and stuff. There's going to be some type of hologram she's interacting with. Now the problem with this layout is this speech bubble is really blocking what I want going on here, and I might want to drop it back down to the 6 size and make all this smaller, or I want to put this up here. Now this was no problem with the layout design I did for the 360, the 1280 by 720, but for this layout it is a problem. So I would just simply drag that whole thing up. So I would just mark it around with the marquee tool, go to my bubbles layer, and I would just pull that bubble up here, let's say, and I'd have to maybe change that to where it's more of an arc to where it's her, but either way you probably still know it's her talking. And then I can take the speech layer and drag that up there as well. Anyway, so that gives me more space to work with what I'm working with, and you just continue kind of sketching out, and at this stage you're kind of putting in details and stuff. Maybe her back arm's kind of coming like that onto the cushion. Cushion's gonna be blocking part of her, and kind of just think part of this couch is gonna be visible. And so you just start working all the perspective and everything. Once you kind of have your sketch all worked out and everything's good, at that stage, then kind of gets a little bit bigger as it comes towards us. Those lines are straight up and down. It's on a desk. Actually, that's probably too high, so I have to make it lower. Anyway, so you would just continue sketching out, and then eventually you would have, what you want, and just kind of imagine the borders there for now. You can even draw, borders in, holding down the Shift key to make perfectly straight lines. And this is just on the sketch layer, because I would actually do the borders for real on a separate layer. And that'd be I call that later borders, and I usually have it underneath the bubbles. So let me see how much time I have left. Oh, out of time. Please leave comments.